Mountains move, have forever, but watch this. The Swiss Alps last spring. That is the fearsome sight of a melting glacier collapsing. The slide swallowing the 800-year-old village of Blatten. The village evacuated early because all saw this coming, and there's the worry. In this era, there are so many warnings about melts. Forgive, then, the apprehensive voices chiming in elsewhere in the Alps in nearby northern Italy. Those who say enjoy these Winter Olympics while you can, because even the International Olympic Committee knows it's all changing.
So you did a study about the future of the Olympic Games. What did it tell you?
Across all the destinations that had already the Olympic Games, we would have lesser hosts that could host the Games by mid-century if we take a medium scenario, probably between 10 and 12.
So in the not-too-distant future, nearly half the places that once hosted the Winter Olympics may not have the right climate conditions to ever do it again. That is one consequence of a warming planet.
So this is one of the areas where probably in the next 20 years, all the glaciers disappear.
In Milan's Eurocold lab is where they start to figure out the other urgent worries about retreating glaciers.
In the alpine area, the temperature increase twice of the global level.
These glaciologists would know. They're suiting up to head into the cold room that always hovers between -30 and -50.
This is an ice core. Okay.
It's where they preserve core ice samples that allow them to keep an archive of glaciers and how they change.
Probably the Adamello Glacier will be disappeared.
Lose the glaciers, lose drinking water for millions, lose water for energy and agriculture. These are huge threats.
It's important also to preserve a little part of the ice cores as an archive for the next generation. Okay.
There are lots of ways to study glaciers, but melts are so significant and frequent, even getting the ice to look at in a lab is getting harder. So we follow Claudio Artoni back into the mountains. He's taking us to Bormio, and pull back a bit to get a sense of where we are. Bormio is one of several mountain hubs in northern Italy for these Olympics, along with Livigno and Cortina.
Are you worried about this glacier?
Yeah, we tried to make a core last year, but we didn't reach it.
So the more they retreat, the harder it is to understand what's happening to them.
Yeah, for sure. And also the harder is harder to reach them.
When you can no longer climb to those glaciers, thinning, melting, retreating higher up in the mountains, sometimes the only way to observe them is from the air. And so we head up over Bormio on the western side of the Dolomites, which will host the men's alpine skiing and new sport of ski mountaineering. Look below to the slopes at lower elevations where on this day it's too warm to make snow.
Now, because of the temperature, we are not using them to create the snowpack.
This is why some events get moved higher up the mountains, and as you climb, the more perfectly snowy it seems.
The snow that you see here is a little bit deceptive. It's a bit like putting a layer of paint on a very cracked wall. At first you don't see what's wrong, but if you have someone like Claudio who knows what they're looking at, then all the problems become very clear.
They do when we approach what's called the Forni Glacier. Its retreat has been fast.
The problem is that the snowpack has to remain on the glacier for 2 years to create new ice. The snowpack don't have the time to transform itself to firm and then new ice, because the summers are very warm, and so this creates the melt of all the snowpack.
Is that a little rock fall up ahead?
Yeah. That rocks are probably quite fresh. For sure, there are a lot of rock slides, landslides. Probably it's related to the warm temperature of the summer.
That glacier that we just saw, did anything surprise you about that?
Well, probably the velocity of the retreat.
And you could tell visually?
For sure.
Working, living in these mountain ranges takes some innovative thinking now. Italy and Switzerland, which share an alpine mountain range, are in the midst of rerouting their border as the glaciers change and natural high ridges that historically mark the border shift. To compete here means realizing you cannot count on natural snow anymore. So Italians are leaning on a snow farm in the Olympic hub of Livigno. What's created, what falls, preserved throughout the summer to build up trails now, especially at lower, warmer elevations.
There we go.
Snowmaking's, I don't know, 60, 70 years old. But here they've really refined everything, and particularly the whole energy efficiency thing in Europe is a big point for everybody.
Managing the snow is everything here, and the IOC maintains every effort to do so must be sustainable.
Should we lift her up?
So a chairlift to the future with Canadian slope builder Joe Fitzgerald.
There we go. Paradise, heaven.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
If you can tear yourself away from those astonishing vistas, look at this.
This is the water basin that they've built up.
One of the largest and highest reservoirs in Europe, built just to supply the water to make snow for these Olympics and beyond.
So what makes this basin sustainable? There's a liner in it. That's not a natural material. You have to pump water up to it.
Well, you're creating a water battery in terms of you've got a storage of water at an elevation where you need the water to be able to run it back down the hill, use gravity.
He's working his 9th Olympics and knows that, like it or not, athletes now rely on artificial or technical snow.
So the first athlete out of the gate has exactly the same experience on the snow as the last athlete.
Pretty much. This is a good test. What is happening is you've got an air gun with the snow, it's creating the crystals. Then they're coming down, so there's still free water in the snow, and then when it lands, it has to the water leaches out, which dries out the snow, which is better snow.
The goal is learn to make snow sustainably at warmer temperatures. Until then, events will keep moving to higher elevations. That's expensive and hard to do. Consider Cortina, the 1956 Olympic host. Snow was an issue even then. The military had to truck it in. Now, different complications. The Italian government backed construction of a gondola to get spectators to Olympic events to reduce traffic jams, create something permanent for Cortina. Only this range is prone to landslides.
Here we are on an historic landslide. It's always been here. It's one of the biggest in Italy. There, where the red net is, there is no protection. The ground has detached and shifted.
The mountainside is cracking. This is local environmental scientist Silverio Lasciadelli.
This is the latest fracture that occurred, continuing from the larger one that started up there. And all this ground tends to descend toward the construction site. It's an enormous landslide, 3,500 meters long and at least 400 meters wide.
A semicircle crack covered by tarp and behind fencing.
It's deep. It's deep.
In early December, when we visited, that crack was creeping down the mountain and growing.
Landslides should not be loaded with weight. So that pylon, which weighs 25 tons, may have facilitated the landslides. You don't even plant trees on a landslide.
The Italian government and construction company told CBC News safety is the first priority. With just days to go before the Winter Olympics start, the gondola was still not ready. The IOC is quick to be clear it didn't commission this project, isn't in charge, and yes, it knows the concerns.
Every time when you go in the mountain, I mean, you know it's a very fragile environment.
The Italian government, it's true, took over the construction of that, but it was for Milano-Cortina to move the spectators up the mountain. Do you want spectators on that gondola if there's a crack adjacent to it?
We will obviously not have spectators if it's not safe to take the gondola for sure. I mean, we rely 100% on the local authorities to ensure that whatever is used is done in the safe way.
This country is so eager to show off the best of what it has and can do to put on a flawless and beautiful games, and yet the anxiousness is earned. A road leading away from Cortina holds a memorial for nearly 2,000 people killed in 1963 when a massive landslide fell into a dam and washed out an entire community. These stunning ranges demand respect, demand we all adjust to their needs, that as the world moves to watch these mountains, no one ever forgets that the mountains move too.